Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel where we again have more Rivals of Ixalan lore. I'm Simon, and today marks the beginning of the official storyline of Rivals here on the Aether Hub, and already, I'm enjoying it way more than the previous set. Building off something pretty much lost to me, let's enter the Golden City as the world of Ixalan vies for control of the Immortal Sun. So we all knew where the story of Ixalan was heading, a massive showdown between the various tribes of the plane as they pour into the lost golden city of Orazca and fight over the mysteriously powerful artifact known as the Immortal Sun. Each of the tribes want the Immortal Sun for their own reasons, with the Merfolk, known as the River Heralds, being the people meant to protect and hide this artifact, preventing its use by anyone. But of course, that burden was placed on them years ago by a being they can't even remember. And with the forces of the world converging onto Orazca, it's understandable some of the River Heralds favor a more direct involvement in protecting the Immortal Sun. Enter Kumena, a brash but talented shaper of the wilds who, unlike his mentor Tishana, believes the River Heralds should use the Immortal Sun against those seeking to use it? Not the best logic, I know, but remember, the River Heralds hold but a small portion of their former territory on Ixalan. Their civilization is shrinking and losing influence, all to protect this unknown artifact. With its use, the River Heralds can assure that they have the power and can prevent its use by anyone quote-unquote evil. Tishana believes this to be naive, as it is, fighting but losing against Kumena, who now stands on the steps of the Golden City itself. He is the first to walk through its arches in what must be centuries now. Generations have come and passed, and his webbed feet were the first to touch this ancient land. Each step up the gold-paved stairs stirred new life. Kumena could feel it. Animals, forgotten monstrosities were stirring beneath the city. The land was coming to life. This didn't bother him though, he felt another presence. The Immortal Sun, calling out to him, describing the power he could wield. Seemingly knowing everything about Kumena without a real reason to why. It would tempt any of us. A voice, a calm, dominant sound in his mind, described this power. The sun he would become once he made this power his own. It wasn't a new voice, but an echo. The voice could very well be his own, but much more powerful. It was a mirror. It reflected his own wants and desires, his own power even. This was the force known as the Immortal Sun, and it would be his. He walked by a massive door which looked more like an ornate vault lock than an entrance. This was Azor's gateway. Kumena was obviously not getting through this, and his reach to nature showed that his enemies were quickly approaching the city. Rather than mess with this massive lock, Kumena decided to take a side entrance, a plain-looking doorway leading to a massive staircase, one which he climbed for what felt like forever. Suddenly reaching the top, Kumena sees it, the Immortal Sun sitting in the center of the floor like a decorative tile in the Sanctum of the Sun. Ancient tales describe the Immortal Sun as this shining object, a font of power and light. But as Kumena stood upon this relic, he realized it didn't glow on its own. It reflected his own glow. This glow was his. The Immortal Sun acted like a mirror, reflecting Kumena's power back to him. The power within the Merfolk surged. The city began to heave as the very foundations of the spire came to life. The Golden City had awakened, and it became a beacon to all those seeking it. With this new power, Shaper Kumena would ensure his people, the River Heralds, would not be wiped from the face of Ixalan. Quite the opposite, in fact. He would use this Immortal Sun, despite all of his people's warnings and teachings, to give the Merfolk of Ixalan complete control over those who would oppose them. Well, that opposition would come pretty quick, because just as Kumena is experiencing this power for the first time, he's confronted with some of the Merfolk's most hated rivals, the vampires of the Legion of Dusk. As a voice calls out from behind him to relinquish the Immortal Sun in the name of their holy campaign, Kumena salivates at the chance to use his new toy. A single vampire conquistador couldn't stop him even before the sun's rays enveloped him. Unfortunately for him, this was no mere foot soldier, and she wasn't alone. Kumena had been tracked by a vampire officer known as Vona of Lido, or even better known as Vona, the Butcher of Magan. An infamous soldier in the Legion of Dusk, Vona had proven her strength and combat prowess in wars past, bursting through an enemy stronghold and butchering 12 enemy officers all by herself, thus earning her this delightful title. She's been hunting not only the Immortal Sun, but their long-lost and immortal leader, the first vampire of Torozon, Ilanda, the Black Rose, who had traveled to this island centuries ago, but never seen again. She captured the otherworldly Gorgon pirate captain Orazca and stole her thaumatic compass, which ultimately led her to the Golden City and thus the Spire, a feat most impressive seeing the body count Orazca has left in her wake. But after a short fight with these pirates and Kumena's mentor Tishana, Vona and her companions were washed away by a massive river surge, washing up on the banks of the lost City of Gold. As I said, Vona alone, despite her impressive record, probably couldn't take on a skilled shaper imbued by the Immortal Sun. But she isn't alone. At her side is the skilled cleric and hierophant, Mavren Fein. He was one of the first to be turned into a vampire by their savior, Ilanda herself. He now seeks Ilanda once more, believing her to be with the Immortal Sun, and hoping she can once again guide their people and bring them everlasting life without the need to feast off of blood. Mavren also survived the Blood Fast, a trial of hunger that has ascended him as a vampire, and reinforced his faith in the Black Rose. Kumena began to feel, for the first time, some terror. These two imposing figures demanded and commanded authority, even from an enemy. He felt less than them. He began to cast a defensive spell, but the vampires moved with unnatural speed. They tackled the Shaper to the ground and began to bite into his flesh. Sharp claws and teeth slashed at the Merfolk's scaly skin. As Kumena struggled to regain some semblance of control, it slowly sunk into reality that this could be his end. All Kumena could do is parry their attempts to sink their teeth into the veins in his neck. Feeling this pathetic battle had gone on long enough, and quite saddened that this merfolk wouldn't assist them in their holy mission, Vona picked Kumena up effortlessly and threw his ass out of a window at the top of the spire. Kumena's eyes widen as he sees Vona looking down on him as he falls, grinning with dark determination. We don't know from this point what happens to Kumena. It's easy to speculate that he dies, but remember, he is a superb shaper, and I'm sure he could conjure something from the nature around him to save his life. But that being said, this was his chance to claim the Immortal Sun. He probably won't get another, and if he does live, he's fated to face off against his old mentor, Tishana. But for the greater part of the story, Kumena's pretty much done. Now we turn to the vampires. Vona and Mavren now have the Golden City and the Immortal Sun, and there's good evidence to suggest that their progenitor, Ilanda, is somewhere here as well. Why has she stayed with the Immortal Sun all these years without returning to her people? Can it really grant them immortality without the curse of vampirism? That's all still to be seen, but for now, the vampires have control. Of course, others are coming to challenge them, so will they be able to hold it? We'll find out. Anyway guys, that's all for the first story in this Rivals of Ixalan arc. Let me know how the story is turning out for you in the comment section below. Also, I'll be promoting Merfolk pretty heavily throughout this series because, well, I like them. Wizards of the Coast is running polls to see which tribe will hold the Golden City at the end. And I want you all, the Vorthos army, to vote Merfolk every single time. Don't be fooled. You don't want the stinky, boring, non-tribal humans winning the Golden City, right? It's not their dinosaurs who will win, so don't be tricked. As always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button and share it all across the multiverse. And of course, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.